The massacre that changed everything, the twin suns rose over Haven 4, painting the sky with soft colors. Children ran through green fields, laughing. Families built new homes. It was a place of peace, a place where dreams grew. Commander Reed watched from the top of a small hill. He smiled as he saw his daughter, Ella, chase her friends near the river. It was a rare moment of happiness in a galaxy filled with fear. No one saw the danger coming. Without warning, dark shapes appeared in the sky. Black ships sharp like blades cut through the clouds. They flew in silence like predators before the kill. Alarms started to scream across the colony. "Unknown ships inbound," shouted a voice from the command post. "Take shelter. All civilians. Take shelter," people ran. Mothers grabbed their children. Workers dropped their tools and sprinted toward the safe zones. Reed's heart sank. He grabbed his communicator. "Defense team, report," he barked. We have no defense, sir," a voice replied, shaking. "The colony was peaceful. We have nothing." Reed looked up as the Empire's ships opened fire. The first blast hit the power stations. Bright explosions tore through the ground. The second blasts hit the shelters where the children hid. Reed's blood turned cold. "Ella!" he screamed. He ran as fast as he could, dodging falling debris. Smoke filled the air. Screams echoed around him. He reached the school building, now nothing but burning rubble. With shaking hands, he pulled pieces of metal and stone aside, calling her name. "Ella! Ella!" Finally, he found her. She was lying still under a broken wall, a small hand reaching toward the sky. She had been trying to escape. Reed fell to his knees. Tears blurred his vision. He picked her up and held her close. But she was gone. Around him, the bodies of children and families lay scattered. The ground was stained with ashes and broken dreams. The Empire ships hovered above, cold and silent. Their mission was clear: destroy, erase, crush hope. And then, as quickly as they came, they left. The skies grew empty again. Only smoke, fire, and silence remained. Hours passed before the few survivors crawled out of hiding: old men, wounded mothers, a handful of trembling children. Not even 100 survivors from a colony of almost 1 million. Reed stood among them, holding Ella's body wrapped in his jacket. No one spoke. No one cried. The horror was too great for words. Reed looked at the faces around him, faces full of loss, fear, and empty pain. And in that moment, something inside him broke, and something stronger was born. He carried Ella to a small hill, where the twin suns were still shining weakly through the smoke. He placed her gently on the ground. Then he rose, his voice steady, carrying across the ruined fields. "Hear me," he said. "Hear me, stars. Hear me, Earth. Hear me, Empire." The survivors turned toward him, their eyes empty but listening. "This is not the end," Reed said. "This is not the grave you wanted for us." He pointed toward the sky where the Empire ships had vanished. "You took our children. You took our future. But you made a mistake." His voice grew stronger. "You did not kill hope. You gave it fire." He looked at the survivors, at the broken colony. "We will rise. We will fight. Not for revenge, for justice." He paused, feeling the anger, the sorrow, the love burning inside him. "I swear on my daughter's name, we will not stop. We will not hide. We will not forget." The wind carried his words across the dead fields, and somewhere far beyond the stars, destiny shifted. The Empire thought they had ended a story, but they had started something new, something fierce, something unstoppable. In the ruins of Haven 4, among the ashes of 800,000 innocent lives, the final warning was born, a warning the Empire would soon hear and fear. Gathering the broken pieces, the night after the massacre was colder than any night Haven 4 had ever known. There was no music, no fires, no laughter. Only the soft cries of wounded survivors and the quiet hum of damaged machines struggling to stay alive. Commander Reed moved through the wreckage, helping whoever he could. He wrapped a blanket around a little boy who had lost both parents. He lifted an injured woman into a broken cart. He gave his only water to a wounded soldier who could no longer walk. But Reed knew kindness alone would not save them. The Empire was not finished. They would send scout ships soon, to make sure no humans survived. The Empire did not leave enemies behind. They had to move. They had to escape. Gather everyone who can walk, Reed told Maya, the colony's last surviving medic. We leave by dawn. Maya nodded, her face pale and tired, but her spirit still alive. Through the broken communication station, Reed sent a silent call into the stars. This is Haven 4. Emergency. Survivors seeking refuge. Any ship, any ally. Please respond. No, answer came. The galaxy stayed silent. Reed clenched his fists. Then we save ourselves, he said. Hidden deep in the colony's underground storage was an old ship, the Star Hunter. It was once used for mining runs between planets. Slow, battered, unarmed, but it could fly, barely, with broken hands and bruised bodies. The survivors repaired what they could. They patched fuel lines with cloth. They sealed air leaks with melted plastic. They prayed it would be enough. It won't hold under heavy fire, Maya warned. It just has to hold long enough, Reed said. As they worked, the children huddled together, their faces hollow. Many were too young to understand the full horror. They only knew fear. Reed knelt beside them. You are the future, he said softly. You are why we fight. He rose and looked at the battered adults around him. And we will get you home. By sunrise, the survivors were ready. 73 people, 1 broken ship, 0 guarantees. But Reed stood at the boarding ramp, his voice clear. The Empire thinks we are finished, he said. They believe we are weak. Today we show them what survivors look like. The people cheered, weak but real. They boarded the Star Hunter. The engines groaned and shuddered. Come on, Reed whispered. Just one more flight. The ship lifted into the air, smoke trailing from its sides. Below, the ruins of Haven 4 burned in the morning light. But Reed did not look back. Ahead of them was a journey filled with danger. Enemy patrols, broken alliances, empty space. Ahead of them was hope. They soared into the clouds, heading for the stars. But even as they climbed higher, the sensors flashed a warning. Contact, Maya shouted. Multiple Empire scout ships inbound. Reed cursed under his breath. They found us already. The Star Hunter had no weapons, no armor, just stubborn engines and even more stubborn hearts. Strap in, Reed yelled. This is going to be rough. The scout ships fired warning shots across their path, bright flashes of deadly energy. They're hurting us, Danny, the young pilot said, trying to push us into a trap. We don't have time for their games, Reed said. Find a way, anyway. Danny's hands flew over the controls. The Star Hunter dove into a dense asteroid belt nearby, hoping to lose the scouts. Rocks the size of mountains spun around them. One wrong move would crush the ship. The Empire scouts followed, cautious but relentless. Inside the ship, children cried, adults held hands. Prayers were whispered. But Reed sat calm at the front, eyes burning with focus. Hold on, everyone, he said. They weaved between the asteroids, using the debris for cover. One scout ship clipped a rock and exploded in a burst of fire. The other 2 kept chasing. Then Reed saw it, a gap between 2 giant asteroids, too small for the Empire ships, but maybe just big enough for the Star Hunter. Straight ahead, Danny, Reed shouted. The old ship shook as it squeezed through the gap, scraping metal and sending sparks flying. Behind them, the remaining Empire scouts tried to follow. Too big, too fast. Both crashed into the rocks and vanished, in clouds of flame. Inside the Star Hunter, silence filled the air. Then soft, stunned cheers rose from the survivors. They had escaped. For now. Reed leaned back in his chair, breathing hard. One step at a time, he said. We get to Earth. Or we die trying. The stars stretched out before them, cold and endless. The journey had only just begun. The hunt had become hunters. The Star Hunter drifted through the black sea of space. Engines coughed and groaned. Food and water were running low. Every hour brought the same fear. The Empire would find them again. But something inside the survivors had changed. They were no longer running just to survive. They were preparing to fight. Commander Reed stood in the center of the old cargo bay, now turned into a training ground. "Listen," he said, his voice sharp and steady. "We may not have fleets. We may not have weapons. But we have something they can never steal. Our will to fight." Around him, old farmers, broken soldiers, scared mothers, even young teenagers, stood holding makeshift weapons. Metal pipes, old pistols, stolen Empire rifles. "They killed our children," Reed said. "They thought that would break us. They were wrong." He showed them how to move quietly in small teams, how to disable Empire tech using scrap parts, how to use the enemy's size and pride against them. It was not easy. They were tired, wounded, grieving. But every hour, they grew stronger. Maya led medical training. She taught the survivors how to treat burns, cuts, and broken bones using whatever little supplies they had. Danny trained the pilots, those brave enough to steer small escape pods that could serve as decoys and strike ships. The children helped, too. They learned to send coded messages, track Empire ships on broken scanners, and spot traps. The hunted were learning how to hunt. One night, as they floated near a dead moon, the alarm sounded. "Empire patrol detected," Maya shouted from the control deck. Two small Empire corvettes, fast, armed, and deadly, were heading straight for them. Reed's mind raced. They could not outrun them. They could not hide. It was time to strike. He, too, gathered the survivors. "This is our chance," he said. "Small ships, not a full fleet. We can beat them." The plan was risky. They would split into small pods, approach quietly using the moon's shadows, attach explosives to the enemy ships, and, if needed, fight face to face. Everyone knew the risks. No one backed down. "For Haven 4, whispered an old man, clutching a rusty blaster. "For our children," said a mother, loading her pistol. Reed looked around and felt pride burn in his chest. "Let's show them who we are," he said. The pods launched silently into the dark. The Empire ships scanned the area, confident they were alone. They never saw the humans coming. One by one, the small pods latched onto the hulls of the enemy ships. Magnetic clamps held tight. The survivors moved like shadows, planting explosive charges, disabling weapons. One Empire soldier spotted them too late. A short firefight broke out in the empty corridors. Reed led his team, moving fast and brutal. He fought not with hate, but with a clear, burning purpose. "No mercy for the merciless," he muttered as he knocked down an enemy officer. The charges were set. "Fall back," Reed ordered. The pods detached and zipped back toward the Star Hunter. From a safe distance, they watched as both Empire ships exploded into brilliant balls of fire. Cheers echoed inside the old ship. For the first time, real smiles broke across tired faces. They had struck back. They had won. And somewhere, across the galaxy, the Empire would hear of this. Small humans, small ship, big message. We are not afraid anymore. Reed sat down heavily in the control chair, feeling the weight of the battle settle in his bones. Maya sat beside him. "We did it," she said softly. Reed nodded. "This is just the beginning," he said. "They started this. We will finish it." The stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter. The hunted had become hunters, and now they were ready to chase. Whispers in the dark, the small victories gave the survivors new hope, but Reed knew better. The Empire would not stay silent for long. Star Hunter kept moving from system to system, hiding among asteroid fields, old wrecks, and dead moons. Every day was a battle against hunger, fear, and the cold silence of space. One evening, as the crew drifted near a frozen world, a strange signal came through the comms. Maya frowned. "It's not Empire," she said. It's encrypted. Very old. Code. Reed leaned in. Play it, he ordered. The message was short. We see you. We hear you. Meet us at the Shattered Ring. Bring no weapons. Come with hope. The Shattered Ring was an old mining station, abandoned after a great war. It could be a trap, but it could also be their first real help. Reed thought for a long moment. Set course, he said finally. But stay sharp. The journey to the Shattered Ring was tense. Every shadow felt like an ambush. Every flicker on the radar could mean death. They reached the station after 2 days. It floated like a ghost, broken and cracked, pieces of its structure spinning slowly around it. No movement, Danny said. No ships. Reed narrowed his eyes. They're here, he said, waiting. He took a small team and boarded the station, weapons hidden under coats, hearts pounding. Inside, the air was thin and cold. Old banners of forgotten battles hung torn from the walls. And then, from the darkness, shapes moved. Not Empire soldiers. Aliens. Old, proud, and scarred. Leaders of small races the Empire had crushed long ago. The Threxians with their glowing red eyes. The slender Torvians with their pale blue skin. The iron-armored Grevelons. One of them, an ancient Threxian, stepped forward. We remember what the Empire did. To us, he said. We watched in silence until we heard your cries. Reed stayed silent, letting him speak. You fought back when no one else dared, the Threxian said. You carry the fire we lost. We offer you aid, ships, maps, safe harbors, weapons. Reed studied the alien's face. Why now? He asked. The Threxian's voice grew heavy. Because the death of children is a crime no soul can forgive. The room fell silent. Reed nodded once. Then we stand together, he said. Hands were shaken, promises made. The rebellion had begun to stir. Small at first, hidden just whispers in the dark, but whispers can grow, and soon they become roars. The Star Hunter left the Shattered Ring with new allies, new supplies, and a new mission. Spread the truth, ignite the fire, and prepare Earth for the storm that was coming. They think we are small, Reed said to his crew. They think we can be crushed. He looked out at the stars. Let's show them how wrong they are. Across the galaxy, the Empire still celebrated its false victory. They did not see the tiny sparks growing in the night. They did not know that the shadows they had created were now coming for them. With every move, with every battle, the survivors grew stronger. With every secret meeting, new voices joined the cause. Earth still seemed far away. But for the first time, Commander Reed believed they would reach it, not as broken survivors, but as the first soldiers of a new war, a war the Empire would never forget. The whispers were rising, and soon the dark would belong to humanity. The escape through the Black Storm. The path home was blocked by a nightmare. The Black Storm. A swirling mass of space clouds, broken debris, deadly lightning, and shifting gravity fields. It stretched across half a sector, tearing apart anything that tried to cross. No Empire ships dared enter it, but for Reed and the survivors, it was the only way. We have no choice, Reed said, looking at the storm through the view window of the Star Hunter. We go through, or we die out here. The survivors stood behind him, silent but ready. The old ship shook as it approached the black wall of darkness. Systems, failing already, Danny warned. Navigation useless, scanners are blind. Reed nodded. We trust our hands, our eyes, each other. The first wave hit like a hammer. The Star Hunter spun wildly. Lightning struck the hull, sending alarms screaming. Maya clung to her station, sealing air leaks as fast as they appeared. Steady, Reed shouted. Trust the ship. The engines groaned but kept pushing forward. Around them, shattered remains of old ships floated like dead skeletons. The bones of others who had tried and failed. The Black Storm was alive. It whispered through the hull. It pulled at the ship, trying to rip it apart. Hours passed like days. One wrong move could tear them into pieces. Gravity spike ahead, Danny cried. Reed gritted his teeth. Full power to stabilizers. The ship lurched, barely escaping a black hole. forming within the storm. Inside the cargo bay, survivors huddled together. Mothers sang softly to their children. Old men told stories of Earth's oceans and forests, trying to keep hope alive. Reed moved from station to station, helping, pushing, fighting. "We didn't come this far to die here," he whispered. Suddenly, a massive chunk of metal, spinning, like a giant blade, appeared in their path. "Brace!" Maya screamed. Danny jerked the controls. The Star Hunter rolled sideways, engines screaming, scraping along the deadly edge. Sparks flew. Panels exploded. Smoke filled the ship, but they survived. Barely. Oxygen levels dropped, power drained. The hull cracked under the pressure. "We won't make it," Danny said, fear creeping into his voice. Reed placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Yes, we will," he said, "because we have to." With every second, the black storm grew angrier, wilder. But Reed refused to give up. He thought of Haven 4. He thought of the children. He thought of the promise he had made under the twin suns. "Hold together," he shouted. "We are almost through." The ship shook harder than ever before. One engine gave out, sending the Star Hunter into a deadly spin. "Fire emergency thrusters," Reed ordered. Danny hit the button. The ship jolted forward, breaking through the last layer of swirling blackness, and suddenly, silence. Stars. Open space. They had made it. The survivors cheered, their voices full of tears and joy. Reed leaned back, exhausted but smiling. They had escaped the black storm, but as they floated toward safer space, Maya pointed at the radar. "Commander, Empire ships ahead. They're waiting for us." Reed's smile faded. He stood up, fire returning to his eyes. "Then let them come," he said. The Star Hunter was broken, battered, and weak, but so were they once, and look what they had become. The survivors prepared for battle once again. Because now, nothing could break them. Not storms, not fear, not even the Iwer Empire. They had crossed the black storm, and they would reach Earth, or they would die, showing the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. The final warning. The stars of the Sol system glowed ahead. After weeks of hiding, running, fighting, and surviving, the Star Hunter finally reached Earth space. The ship was barely holding together. Metal plates hung loose, wires sparked, oxygen was low. The engines were near death, but they had made it. "We're home," Maya whispered, her voice filled with tears. Inside the ship, the survivors gathered near the windows, staring at the blue planet below. Some smiled, some cried, some simply stared in silence. Reed stood at the front, watching Earth grow larger. "Send the signal," he told Maya. "Let them know what happened." She nodded and pressed the comms button. A message echoed across the stars. "This is Commander Reed of Haven 4. The Empire attacked. They killed 800,000 of our children. They hunted us across space. We are the last survivors, and we carry the truth." The message was broadcast to every human colony, every military base, every news station, and every civilian ship. Pictures followed. Images of the massacre. The burning fields, the broken shelters, the dead children. Silence fell across Earth. People watched with wide eyes. Families froze in horror. Soldiers clenched their fists. Leaders gathered in emergency halls. No one spoke for many minutes. And then, rage, protests, filled the cities. Humans, young and old, demanded answers, demanded justice. At the World Council building, generals stood before the people. "We were not ready," they said, "but now, we will be." Earth united like never before. Nations set aside their differences. Borders vanished. Armies became one. Scientists shared secrets. Factories built weapons faster than ever in human history. Fleet Command activated old warships, called back deep space units, and gave one clear order: prepare for retaliation. Commander Reed was taken to the Capitol, where he stood before millions. In a live broadcast, his face was tired, his uniform burned and torn, but his voice was strong. "They thought killing our children would silence us," he said. "Instead, they woke us. He paused, then looked into the camera. To the Empire. Hear this final warning. Earth is no longer sleeping. We are no longer scattered. We are coming. And we will not stop until justice is done. The message reached every corner of space. Even inside Empire territory, the words spread. On slave worlds, people whispered the name Reed. On rebel stations, fighters raised their fists. Even some alien races within the Empire began to question their loyalty. Fear spread like fire, because the humans were not just angry, they were united. And nothing is more dangerous than a united Earth. That night, Reed walked to the edge of a cliff near the ocean. Maya joined him, both silent under the stars. Do you think we're ready? She asked. Not yet, Reed said, but we will be. She looked at the sea, calm and endless. They won't stop, will they? No, Reed replied, but neither will we. Behind them, thousands of ships were being built, pilots trained in simulators. Messages flew between colonies. Earth was preparing, not for a battle, for a war. The survivors of Haven 4 had come home, and now, home was ready to fight back. The final warning had been given. The next time, it would be war. The spark becomes a flame. 1 year after the massacre of Haven 4, Earth was no longer the same. The world had changed. Cities once filled with everyday life were now filled with soldiers, engineers, and builders. Every street, every base, every orbiting station was working together. From the ground to the stars, humanity had one goal: justice. At the center of it all stood Commander Reed. No longer just a survivor, he was now a symbol. His voice had united the colonies. His pain had lit the fire, and now he would lead the first strike against the Empire. The fleet was ready. 3,000 ships, some old, some new, some tiny fighters, others massive battle cruisers, all with one message carved into their hearts: never again. On the command deck of the flagship Vengeance, Reed looked out at the dark sky ahead. Beside him stood Maya, now a high-ranking officer and hero of her own. You sure you're ready? She asked. No, he said softly, but that won't stop me. Voice came through the comms. Fleet reports ready, Commander. Reed stepped forward, eyes locked on the stars. Send the signal. The ships moved as one, a wave of power, fire, and unity. Their target, the Empire's forward stronghold, the Dread Ring, a giant fortress in space, built to control entire sectors. The Empire didn't expect a full attack. They thought humans would stay on defense. They were wrong. As the human fleet dropped out of light speed, alarms blared through the Dread Ring. The Empire rushed to respond, but it was too late. The battle had begun. Missiles flew, shields cracked. Fighters danced through enemy lines, striking fast and hard. Reed led the charge, piloting a sleek command ship with deadly precision. Target their control core, he shouted. Maya's team launched hacking drones into the enemy systems. Within minutes, chaos spread inside the Dread Ring. Turrets turned the wrong way. Lights flickered. Doors locked shut. Humans pressed the advantage. The Empire tried to send reinforcements, but rebel fleets from the Shattered Ring and old allies from the Torvian resistance joined the fight. Aliens who had once feared Earth now fought beside it. The spark had become a flame, and that flame was unstoppable. As the final charge began, Reed gave one last order: no prisoners, no retreat. We fight for every lost child. We fight for every world they burned. His ship crashed through the main wall of the Dread Ring. He stepped out into fire, smoke, and steel, blaster in hand. Heart burning. He moved like a storm, room by room, step by step, until he reached the Empire's supreme commander, Lord Theron, a tall, cruel figure dressed in black armor. You are nothing, Theron spat. You are dust beneath our boots. No, Reed said quietly. I'm the voice of every child you silenced. They fought, blade against blade, blow after blow, until Reed knocked him down. This is for Haven 4, he said. One strike ended it. The Dread Ring began to fall apart. As Reed and Maya escaped in a dropship, The giant fortress exploded behind them. A sun born from rage and justice. The galaxy watched it all, and they understood. Humanity had arrived not to conquer, but to defend, not to rule, but to protect, and if pushed too far, to fight without mercy. Back on Earth, celebrations lit up the skies, but Reed did not smile. He stood quietly by a memorial stone, carved with 800,000 names. He placed a flower beside his daughter's name, Ella Reed. "We did it," he whispered. "We kept our promise." The wind blew softly, the flame would never go out.